Good, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. We're back with some more Battle Stadium Pokemon battles. How does everyone like my new intro? The music for that I made when I was 12. I'm just kidding, I was actually 20. It's a lot less impressive though. Anyway, so the last time I played, didn't do too well. And the day that I was recording these battles, I actually had gotten on a pretty good streak and was mad that I didn't record my first few games because I absolutely dismantled my opponents. But I did manage to catch most of the back end of my run to Master Ball this month. So I decided to record them without a live commentary because it's really hard for me to get a solid block of time with which to do that, and doing it this way makes it a little easier to record battles over the week and then also record the commentary for them. It adheres to my workflow a little better. So anyway, didn't really feel like breaking down the champ select on this battle. Just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So I'm leading the Steela and I'm like, this Swampert's gonna want to get out of the way of my energy ball, right? Didn't occur to me that he would probably assume I was going to Leech Seed or something else and not directly attack him, so I should have done that and just sniped him on turn 1. But as we can see, that's not what I do, because Meteor Beam is so juicy on Celesteela. I was fully aware of it being not very effective on ground type. And at this point, the yawn really doesn't mean a thing to me because I've got my boosted special attack and I'm staying in. So I get him out of there. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Really don't mind going to sleep if it means Swampert's off the field. Especially with another special attack boost. Now you know I'm staying in. So Metagross I don't feel like can necessarily take care of me in one shot. I think about Dynamaxing, but honestly, like, the sleep is just so sketchy. I know I've got at least this turn of sleep. He must have been predicting some kind of swap there using the Meteor Mash. But now that they know I'm staying in, they get me. I was pretty surprised to live that. But now I've got them cornered down to 1 Pokemon, and I've got 3 special attack boosts, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So good, in fact, that I don't hesitate at all to just hit Dynamax with 50 health, knowing damn well that thing's got Thunderbolt. But I kind of had it in my head that maybe they thought I would swap and just go with the Resonance because that's what Lapras does. But I think they pretty much had a good read on me leaving this Celesteela in because I'd already gotten just so much value out of it. But I went ahead and just threw all that away. Just Dynamax it. Yeah, man. That was the silliest thing I did this whole game. because G-Max Lapras wasn't going to do more than 102 damage with Max Lightning. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking in terms of how much value I had gotten out of it already. I was thinking about how much more value I could get out of it. And also I had 2 Mons in the back. And so I really want to keep Mimikyu for the sweeper, just because I know it can finish it after G-Max is done. But poor Landorus. Gotta face down a Stab Ice type right now. He took it like a champ though. He does good. He's got a 2-part move, so I go with that. Thought about the Rock Tomb just to drop speed, but I didn't want to proc policy, and also I wanted to waste a Dynamax turn with Fly if I could. Fly was obviously the way better play here. I'm glad I went for that. And so now he knows he gets to hit me with the Resonance, but it also is on his last turn of G-Max, so it's going to last a long time. The crit like it mattered. The veil like it matters. No, it definitely does. So Mimikyu gonna Mimikyu. And just Swords Dance his little head off. Her little head off, my bad. And so right here I'm weighing the option of just attacking twice outright, but obviously Swords Dance is basically the same thing, so I thought in terms of getting a 3rd turn, Swords Dance would be much more value. But I was also thinking that it might have had Sheer Cold, and that would have really, really sucked to get hit by after I Swords Danced. So another Pokemon with 2-part move. Just those 2-part moves are really, really good for Dynamax. I like that they have some kind of niche now. Because they used to be just straight garbage, you never used them. And so that did a little less than I thought it would, and was hoping it would, and I was sure I was about to lose this. But Mimikyu's base special defense is rather high, so we just stood there. And so I go for Phantom Force again just to ensure the knockout, but also in the hopes that Aurora Veil will be gone by the time I come down with the attack, but I think it actually comes down on the last turn of Aurora Veil. So it ends up not being a factor anyway, but this game was way closer than it should have been because I had Dynamaxed something that was just doomed. But yeah, so that was this game. And then there's this game. It's going to be hard not to give away the outcome of this game. So I'm just going to be open about it. I lose this game really, really hard. My opponent was taking it a lot more seriously than me and read me like a book every step of the way. I had all the tools to win this game and just used them wrong. So got a little ahead of myself. but it's a learning experience, and honestly, I was kind of on the fence about posting this one, but it just, after I felt so good about dismantling my opponents previously, it was kind of jarring to get dismantled like this. So I decided to go with the basic Scarf Finny open, and then just the Dynamax cushions in the back. Go for a raw switch at some point. Oh no, it looks like I decided against that. Lead Cinderace maybe? No, not that. Lead Finny, Cinderace in the back. Landorus as well. So their team's pretty much the exact same as mine. They just got a couple of dragons in place of where I've got a Cinderace and Finny. And this is actually my first time facing a Naganadel in a ranked battle. I think I've played it on randoms on Showdown, but I haven't actually played against it in Battle Stadium yet. You can tell my opponent's taking it more seriously than me because he's got the entire DLC outfit. And so here, I have the Ice Beam, but I feel like he doesn't know I have the Ice Beam, and he's probably going to be expecting a taunt or something. Maybe a Calm Mind, probably more likely a Surf. So I go ahead and lock into the stab instead of the off stab, thinking he's going to either swap away or I don't know what. I just decided to play it safe. I didn't figure he was just going to hand me the 4x super effective. And he's sashed anyway, so was kind of glad I locked into the stab there instead of the off stab. But as it turns out, Ice Beam probably would have done me a fair amount of good. Because now that I'm locked into Surf, there's no way I'm standing in front of that. But I know it's special, so I go ahead and swap out to the Cinderace, expecting like a Sludge Wave or a Sludge Bomb or something, some kind of stab poison. But no, we get plotted on. Which is fine, I kind of expected that, but now I know he's going to Dynamax. So I think about doing the same. But if he doesn't Dynamax and I do, I'm just going to stand there with my pants down. So I decided to go for the bounce, try to waste a turn. And I don't actually end up wasting a turn because he's faster than me. But I'm also glad I didn't Dynamax because getting Worm-Winded on my first turn of Dynamax would have really just blown so many chunks. And I'm kind of glad to be going with Bounce also for the paralysis chance. I go to say Paralyze and then realize I'm trying to say Paralysis halfway through. And I say Paralysis. Yeah. It's like electrolysis. Anyway, so the Max card is pretty smart. He doesn't want to risk the paralysis. And so I'm like, he's going to use a Wormwind again. I'm going to swap to Fairy. Not thinking, from his point of view, this is his fadeaway shot on the Cinderace and Dynamax. So he's going to go with the special attack boosting Stab Max move, right? Duh. Critted as if it needed it. So there goes Finny. That was my big play. And so now I've got like a 30 HP Cinderace sitting in the back. A good day to be me. Oh, 53. So I bring out the Landorus for that sweet Naganadel Intimidate. And so he's weak to ground type. And so I'm like, yeah, man, let's hit him with a ground type. Not realizing I have pretty good offensive pressure here now, and that I should absolutely Sword Stance. But my big caveman brain is just like, super effective max move, ugh. He's at +3 on Naganadel, he's gonna leave it in. Because that's what I would do. No, this guy's good. Better than me at least. I don't know how good is. Conscious incompetence. And finding out the value of the Sash Landorus here, honestly, because of the 1 HP Intimidate is just very valuable. So, not to be deterred by my big play with the Finny failing, I go for the big play with the Lando and get big played by his Lando. And so, if I'm gonna Dynamax, like, I should just Airstream first anyway, right? With Lando, like, that's the big play. Airstream first turn, and then the second turn, doesn't matter what you do because you're gonna hit first. I don't know. I could have caught that Lando on its way in and had 2 max turns in front of something else. So yeah, just everything I did this game, I could have done something better. Rather, it's very easy to identify what the better play would have been in retrospect. Some games that's really hard to figure out. This is not one of those. And so I know this Porygon's got an Ice Beam. So I'm going for the special defense ups. Which honestly, if I had landed a Max Quake a little sooner, I could have got 2 of these off. I might have been okay. Because I would have got my berry. I stopped it just above like 52 or 53% HP. And so I'm like, it's never too late to Sword Stance, right? Never mind raw swapping into my Assault Vest Cinderace on an off stab, and it's got a fighting move. I could there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of other things I could have done this game. I had the tools all along. I could have pushed this momentum back, but I got overwhelmed. I was really hoping I could range this and live on a berry, but or live to eat my berry, rather. And so at this point, I kind of forgot I had the Cinderace, and I'm like, oh, the game's not over. Go Cinderace. I'm kind of just hoping the high jump kick misses and puts me out of my misery. But it hits. And going into this third matchup here, it's a rematch of earlier, and I already know who's faster. So pretty much knew what was up, but then I'm like, maybe I live on a little bit, I can bounce, and then hope for the paralysis. Like, I even still had a very slim chance here, but it felt all but gone. Maybe I didn't have a chance there, it just felt like I did. But yeah, so that was absolutely my worst loss out of this whole run. So between the last game and this game here, I actually had another really short game that I lost, though it was due to a disconnection on my end that was of no fault to my own. That was not how you're supposed to say that. It was not my fault. Yeah, honestly, we only got like 3 turns into it, and it was over, so nothing to show there. I did record it, it was just there was nothing to show, so counted as a loss. Now this game here ends in a disconnection, but there was enough of it for me to show. Honestly, it was right up to the very end, and then somebody disconnected, I'm assuming out of anger. I won't say who, just to leave it a surprise. Y'all know it very damn well could have been me. I'm not sure what exactly took me so long on this champ select right here, but I was probably writing something down or reading something. Recently started taking notes while I've been playing, so I was probably referencing or creating notes. So they lead with the Cinderace, no big surprise there. And I have had a problem on this team, specifically with just clicking Meteor Beam every time I lead Celesteela instead of using her as bait like I'm supposed to. Or Dynamaxing and returning fire. And I've just been getting one shot by fire moves on turn 1. Like, it was such a theme this day of playing specifically that right here I made the smart play, finally learned something, and swapped out to Landorus against the Cinderace lead. And of course, you know, when someone leads Cinderace, they go ahead and Dynamax it, turn 1. And that's usually their big play. Like, I've been swept by the turn 1 lead Cinderace before. Honestly, it happens pretty often. But it's just like, this is your opponent letting you know, like, if they don't beat you in the first couple of turns, they don't want to. Or they have something that they think you're just not going to be able to get through in the back. So I came out of that one looking alright. And I'm not sure what I felt the need to check Landorus' stats for there. It was either its speed or its defense. I'm thinking it was probably its speed though. I seem to remember that I wanted to compare it to my Cinderace's speed, but I did not bring Cinderace, so I couldn't do that. Also, I'm aware that my Cinderace is slower than the one my opponent's using. Glad I lived that on 12, that was such a lucky hit. But anyway, yeah, I know my Cinderace would have been slower, but I just wanted to get like a baseline comparison. Yeah, I didn't even bring it, so not an issue. Yeah, he's just doing his thing, spamming Airstream, you know. Flew to waste a Dynamax turn. So I got 12 HP here, and honestly I probably could have swapped away from Landorus just to keep the Intimidate in my back pocket. Especially with the knowledge that he Sucker Punched there. A swap would have been so clean. Or even a Swords Dance just to just to get in his head. But yeah, so I decided the time's right. Get that Finny out there. See if I can just hit that thing real quick. And I know it's got one Airstream under its belt already, but I've got a Scarf, so I'm feeling feisty. Figure I'll try my odds. I didn't figure there was something. If he brought Sucker Punch, it means he probably didn't have Gunk Shot, so I figured he wasn't going to OHKO me. But I figured he also wasn't going to stay Dark type, so I wasn't going to use Moonblast there. Especially if he had something like Excadrill in the back. So Bounce is pretty good for me because it gets me a free swap into Celesteela. And now Celesteela could not stand in front of that Cinderace in a position where Cinderace could Dynamax, and it wasn't smart for Celesteela to. But it's the other way around now. He can't Dynamax, and it's pretty smart for me too. And I know he's going to go for the fire attack, so I go ahead and just open it up with the Meteor. Oh no, not Meteor Beam. Rockfall. Meteor Beam would have lost me the game there for damn sure. And honestly, that's the level I'm playing at. Meteor Beam either wins me the game or loses it. And I'm usually using it on turn 1. So, all that crap I talked about, Cinderace leads, you know. The Celesteela lead's kind of the same turn 1 bet. If you choose to play it that way. But anyway, so I know the Rockfall's gonna just go ahead and do it. Couldn't believe he missed the Powerball there. Super lucky. For me, not for him. Anyway, there's my Meteor Beam boost. And so Dragapult. Figure I'll go ahead with the Steel Spike just for the defense boost. Also it's Stab. Missed the Fire Blast. It's unfortunate that he has missed 2 fire attacks on me in a row. And oh, the Sash Dragapult. That would be neat if there wasn't all this sand out. Quite a lot of sand about. Get all in your crevices. And so then there's that Excadrill. And I'm like, I can hit that. So this game felt pretty good, honestly. Just cushioning the Dynamax, bringing out the Celesteela, and then getting a knockout per turn during Celesteela's Dynamaxes. That just... it's about as good as it gets. And then this Salty Bee was like, no, I'm going to turn my Switch off. Because I was that mad. Because my Cinderace didn't work. Okay, so for this game, I actually skipped all of the champ select and everything just because I took the entire timer. And the game is not as long as the champ select was. Like it was, but not by much. So as I implied, this is a really quick game. Decided to go with the lead Cinderace after it worked out so well for my last opponent. But this Cinderace is set up specifically to take care of fairies, so that's what it's going to do. And he goes for Nature's Madness, which is kind of weird, I thought. I figured he would go for some kind of electric attack, especially if I were to Dynamax and Airstream. But he goes with a raw half HP move, so tells me it's more of a support Koko, maybe less damage oriented. But with the Assault Vest on Cinderace, that actually probably did more damage than any of his attacks would have. So now the Regieleki is just the most telegraphed thing in the world. It's like, Koko, Lecky. Okay, you're going to use Rising Voltage. So I decided my best play here is to swap out to the Lando, because either he uses an electric move and I block it, or he uses Explosion after an Intimidate. And I don't think he's going to explode his second Mon after the first one got taken care of on turn 1. So I think seeing the Lando definitely made it pretty real to him how cornered he was here. And not making the same mistake as the game before last, I go ahead and Swords Dance while I have the offensive pressure, and it basically wins me the game. So I want to note that when this turn begins, Regieleki is at full health. Ho hum, decade-long Dynamax animation. So he uses Max Strike, which tells me he definitely had Explosion, but didn't want to use it on Landorus, which is pretty smart. Kind of sad that he had to Dynamax the Lecky in the first place, but it is what it is. And so now I'm feeling the Dynamax. Definitely, he's not getting out of the way of the Quake. I think I might see about cutting out all Dynamax animations in my next video. I don't have time to do that on this one, but honestly, if I just cut from when the Pokeball expands to the Dynamax Roar, like it would get the point across and it would save 30 seconds, a minute per battle. So there goes Regieleki. I'm calling that one an Oko because that was the first time I attacked it, making that the second Oko this match. And so then it's the Cinderace. I was really worried he was going to use bounce there. That's what I would have done. Anyway, Oko number 3. And yeah, pretty much, like I said, this match was really, really short. Shorter than the champion select was. So, there it was. Okay, now for this last match, the Master Ball promotion match, I actually recorded the day after the previous matches. So I'm not necessarily right in the same wave that I was on the prior win streak, but I'm riding a wave nonetheless. And I am actually looking back over my notes for this game, and it looks like it was a pretty good one. The only thing is that the previous matches in this video I watched once before recording the voiceover, but this one I am just rolling into it because it's the end of the video and I don't feel like watching it twice. So, nobody else out there be bothered to watch it twice, please. And now with Champion Select out of the way, looks like we're taking the Finny, the Lando, and the Porygon 2, which is pretty much the default mode for this team. And so, starting out, I really just don't like the Cinderace Tapu Fini matchup there, just in case he's got a gunk shot, you know? Something like that. I don't really have a super solid first hit. I also wasn't sure if I was going to outspeed him with the Scarf or what he might have. And actually, he goes for U-turn with his first attack, so Scarf was definitely still an option at that point. I go with the hard Lando switch just to grab the Intimidate. And then of course there's the U-turn I mentioned, which still does kind of a lot for being intimidated and not very effective. Like obviously it didn't do a lot of damage, but for what it was, I feel like it did. So then Rotom here is obviously just not good. I don't have anything that is going to do much to it, and one Hydro Pump is just gonna wreck my whole shit. So I'm gonna show him my third Pokemon on the second turn. Got the special attack boost on Porygon, feels good. Hydro Pump miss on Rotom feels even better. And so the only attack I have that does decent damage is the Discharge. So I'll go for neutral. I don't think I can paralyze it, but swap into the Steela. I'm not sure what he was expecting. Maybe a Tri-Beam, probably Tri-Beam. But yeah, caught him with the Discharge, and it's at this point that I'm like, okay, so Porygon gets through Steela, Porygon gets through Rotom, and Porygon gets through Cinderace if I play it right, so we're going to Dynamax it. Again, I apologize for Dynamaxing at all, ever. It's a necessary evil. Really considering just cutting Dynamaxes out of my videos. Save y'all the time by spending a little of mine. So Protect obviously was not what I wanted him to do. Max Lightning, I really would have rather got Steela off the board that turn, but at this point I'm spending my whole Dynamax just to get Steela off the board, which is kind of okay. Like, that thing can really put me in some trouble, and the only thing I have to get all the way through it quickly is Porygon anyway, so. Went for the double protect, not like too greedy. He didn't really have a whole lot of other options. At least I don't think. I didn't see any of his moves. So he goes ahead and sends out the Cinderace. And so I'm pretty sure he's going to Dynamax that. And so I just go with the Max Strike to drop his speed so that even if he Airstreams, he's got to do 2 to get anything out of it. So Max Knuckle was pretty predictable, but I also was hoping that by Max Striking I would force him into a situation where he felt like he had to Airstream and maybe lay off the Knuckles. But Max Strike didn't do a whole lot because it's off a physical attack. And even still, I'm like, why sack Porygon? Especially when he's still got Rotom. Because Rotom checks my Finny pretty hard, and Lando, to be honest, too. So, really felt like hanging on to Porygon. Porygon was really just the best bring this game. And so I go for the fly because I'm thinking that after the Max Strike, I would be faster than him and I could waste his last Dynamax turn. And it was not how it turned out. And it actually got really sketchy with Landorus's health right there. So he's at a +2 after the Intimidate, -1 on speed. But he's still faster than me. Takes forever to pick a move. I never got a chance. All Lando has to do is come down, but the come down's always the hardest part. So I was glad that took care of it in one hit because I could have been in some trouble if it didn't. And then there was one, and I still have all of mine. I go ahead and just sack the Lando, it's not worth swapping out, plus I can drop some speed. And he tricks his Scarf onto me, I'm presuming just to give himself a little bit of flexibility going into the end of the game. But also it could have been because he thought I might Swords Dance. I'm just gonna drill him with Rock Tombs till he kills me. Really funny if he missed a Hydro Pump again. Oh. So we're just gonna drill him with Rock Tombs till he's gone. Or till he hits us with Pump. But the 1 HP live, man. Like, at this point, I'm not really stressing it because obviously it's in the bag, but still, 1 HP, man. So I could pull Porygon out and play the long game, and maybe he's got rest or something stupid, you know? I really just don't feel like... Well, no, actually he had Specs, so that's not a possibility. He had Trick. But yeah, I still just... Finny's the fastest thing I have. Moonblast will do it. Game. Moonblast, MB, Master Ball. It's kind of fitting. But yeah, so that was that. Those were my big highlights from my Master Ball climb this month. I feel like I've really hit a groove with this team. I rather like it. Kind of come to understand what all the Pokemon in it should be used for. Still just play myself in Champ Select sometimes, you know. Everyone knows how it is. But for anyone out there grinding, laddering, Master Ball is absolutely possible with this team. It's a lot of fun, and good luck on your climb. Bye.